living in the barracks, roommate walked in on me jerking. Told him, get out or get weird. Those who have been caught masturbating or having sex, how did you handle it? Was going down on my girl. She was basically in the doggy position facing the door. Then the door flew open. It was my roommate's boyfriend who didn't know we were home and wanted to borrow my PlayStation controller. He very quickly closed the door and apologized more and kept apologizing and explaining what he was trying to do and how bad he felt, until I had to tell him that yes, his apology is accepted and that I'm kinda busy, so if he could stop interrupting that would be great. One morning when I was like 14, I was extremely uncomfortable in my bed. As I was adjusting my body in the blanket, my mom busted my door open to wake me up for a doctor's appointment. She thought I was masturbating. She slammed my door shut and started screaming, "I'm sorry." This woke everyone up in the house, and of course she told my stepdad. Then he wanted to talk, and at some point my little cousins found out. Geez. Talk about embarrassing. I wasn't even jerking off, and that's what pisses me off the most. My family still brings this up today as jokes. They don't believe that I wasn't jerking. My mom walked in on me having sex with my now husband. Luckily there was a pillow right there, so I covered up before the door was completely open. I guess she was in shock or something because she stood there and then started asking some random question. I asked her to close the door. I mean, what else can you do in that situation? Getting it on in our room on the cruise ship, housekeeping knocks once, which we didn't hear. The door opens and now we are staring at each other wide-eyed. She turns around and closes door. We continue while cracking up. She was super friendly all week long. One time my girlfriend and I were having sex, and her little sister, 10 at the time, walked in on us. My girlfriend was on top and we were under the blanket. We told her sister we were having a talk and to get out, and she got sad because she wanted to come lay with us. She didn't realize we were having sex. Since we were under the blanket and were wearing shirts, we certainly didn't have sex at my girlfriend's house anymore after that. Well, when I was 13, I was watching just general straight porn and I was using a really dodgy wire for my headset. So late at night I plugged my headset in and started to watch it when the audio screamed out of my phone as the chick was orgasming. However, my parents didn't come in my room after a few minutes, so I thought nothing of it until I saw my dad at my door leaning against the wall. I went pure red and quickly deleted the tab once he grabbed my phone from me. He said to me, "I'm not shaming you for watching porn. I'm shaming you for not being able to watch porn and hide it." They never caught me again after that. Not necessarily masturbating, but when I was about 12, for some reason I started simulating having sex with a pillow, as if it was a girl on my bed. Thing is, my mom was in another part of the house vacuuming, and unbeknownst to me, left the vacuum on while she came into my room to ask for something. I noticed her standing in the doorway quite horrified and, out of desperation, came up with the excuse that I was practicing front flips, of course. So I subsequently ended up doing a somersault over the edge of my bed and almost breaking my back. My boyfriend's dad didn't knock, he just came right on in. I don't think my boyfriend was even out of me by the time his dad saw, but he didn't leave. So there I am, laying on my side facing the door, only a shirt on and a blanket covering most of my front bits. Back bits naked and lubed. My boyfriend is fully nude, pillow in his lap, just having a conversation with his dad now. I think my soul completely left my body for the entirety of that moment. He stood there talking for so long. I know he knew. I know he saw. It was a hotel party, and the hotel room had sort of two separate rooms that were connected. Everyone was in one room partying. Myself and the girlfriend snuck into the other room and started getting busy. Midway through, my buddy just barges in, looks at me, says "You're doing it wrong," grabs a pillow and leaves. I was laughing too hard from the comedic timing on his comments to keep going. Overall, not a bad time. One night in the middle of a heavy snowstorm, me and a girl I was hooking up with getting frisky in the car, so I stopped in a large parking lot for a park near her place. I parked facing a large snowbank, and noticed other cars scattered around, with people inside, obviously either hooking up or smoking up. So me bang in the backseat, I'm going at it missionary when suddenly these headlights fire into the back window. I look up and there's a security SUV parked right behind me, maybe a beater from my bumper. I'm noticing cars are leaving the lot and start freaking out. This guy has us pinched between the snowbank and his car. I jump out half naked from the back seat, get in the front, and start to maneuver my car out of the situation. Ever see the scene in Austin Powers where he tries to U-turn the golf cart in the tunnel? Yeah, it was like that. For 10 minutes. The SUV never tried to stop me, and the security guy never got out. After 10 minutes of back and forth trying to reposition the car, we pulled away. Freakiest, longest 10 minutes ever. I was at my boyfriend's house and he had just started going down on me. He heard his mom opening the door, and I hadn't, so he jumped to the top of the bed. Only thing is he left my dress up, so he was laying at the top of the bed but she still got to see my dress up and legs spread open. She just said, "Oh goodness," and walked out. I asked why he couldn't put my dress down and he said, "Every man for himself." I couldn't even make eye contact with his mom after. My 10-year-old daughter and 2 of her friends walked in on my husband and me. I was naked and on top. They had been 2 houses down with another friend and we didn't hear them coming. I could have died. Had to apologize to the girls, explain the situation to their parents, which went very badly. I ended up covered in hives, caused by stress. That lasted 2 weeks. I'm not sure I'll ever fully recover. It was so bad. Not my story, but my cousin's. He was dating a girl that his mom didn't really approve of. They were pretty religious, so premarital sex was a big no-no and my cousin still lived at home with his parents. My aunt was pretty sure they were having sex and started trying to catch them at it. Well, one day they were doing the deed on the floor of his walk-in closet and my aunt walked in on them, potentially on purpose. Depends on who tells the story. And my cousin just stood up, pushed my aunt back out of the closet and asked, "Did you find what you were looking for?" Then shut the door in her face and went back to sexy time. That story gets told scandalously or proudly depending on which cousin you hear it from. Didn't get walked in on exactly, but this one was rough. Slept at my then boyfriend's house, and in the morning we woke up to an empty house. Score. He went to go take a shower and I decided to join in for some fun. Things get heated. I get loud. Dirty talk is happening. We hear a bang outside of the bathroom and footsteps. We both assume it's just the dog. We keep going. And then I say the fatal line that is repeated by all who know this story. "Spit in my mouth, Daddy." As soon as those words leave my mouth I hear my boyfriend's mother let out a disgusted noise from the hallway. I froze like a deer in headlights and didn't look her in the eyes for a few weeks after that one. The poor woman has probably heard worse, but that one took the cake. The time I lost my virginity was with my ex. I was driving her home and we decided to stop in my neighborhood. I lived in a really rural, secluded neighborhood, and get funky in the back seat. We go in back and start getting down to business. A few minutes into it and I saw headlights shine on us from behind. We stopped and paused while the car behind us stayed there for a minute before driving off. Thinking we were in the clear, we started going at it again. Things were going well until another pair of headlights shone in from behind us. I look up and to my horror, a police car sat parked behind us on the little country road. We got dressed and a female cop walked up to the back door and knocked. I opened the window and the officer told me to step out. There I stand, fly down, shirt backwards and inside out in the cold night air. Another officer gets out of the cop car and goes, "Man, what's with all these kids having sex tonight?" There's a story there that I desperately want to know. The first officer laughs and goes, "Are you the only 2 in the car?" I laughed. What did she think? We invited our friends to watch? The report we got said that there were 4-5 people having sex in the back of the car. Apparently the first set of headlights had been an off-duty officer that lived in my neighborhood. He thought there was an orgy going on in my car, so he called it in. To this day I think about what a weird night that was. One night stand when I was young. Guy was at uni and living with mates. In the morning we were at it, I was on top, then a knock at the door. As it opened, laid as flat as I could with a blanket over my head. A roommate and his mum and aunt were wanting to plan an activity for the day. The 2 guys were from the same town, so these were parent figures from kindergarten. All went smoothly until the guy jumped on top of his mate shouting, "Get up you, there's a girl there." Hilarious now, mortifying at the time. I started yelling and tantruming at my mother really loud to get out of my room, hoping my screaming would cover up the sound of the vibrator. When she had swung open the door I had dropped it, and it seemed like if I started feeling around between my legs for it, it would once again just look like I was pleasuring myself under the covers. I really couldn't win that one. Mother walked in on my girlfriend and I in high school. Never have I so quickly grabbed a blanket to hide our shame. My mother somehow had no clue and decided it was a good time to start talking about dinner, while I was trying to talk her out of the room. Took 30 seconds but it felt like an hour. The comment of the day is from Hellblood. Hellblood wrote, "Call LGBT. Well, Mr. Hellblood, this is not an easy task, since a lot of people are LGBT, and to have sex with all of them would take 5 lifetimes at least. Better look for a more realistic goal." Thanks for listening to Radio Reddit. Hit the subscribe button and activate the bell, and leave a comment. It might become the comment of the day. And please check out our other channel, Radio TTS. And please, lock the room. Your parents are equally frightened when they discover you doing dirty things.